Oh, hello and welcome to Will It Analyze, where we analyze, well, everything. We asked what you wanted to see analyzed, and someone suggested cold medicines. I just happen to have some right here. You've got some for cough, some for nasal decongestant, and some for help with excess mucus. Normally, these medicines would be analyzed on an HPLC, but it's all the way over there, and I'm not feeling good enough to make that trip. And the GC is so close, so I don't have to move very far. So the most common active ingredients in cold and allergy medicines are dextromethorphan hydrobromide, a cough suppressant, chlorpheniramine malate, an antihistamine, and guaifenesin, a mucus expectorant. I want to know exactly how much of these ingredients are in these medicines. So first, I need to purchase a standard of each of these medicines, and I'm going to make a calibration curve from each of those. So I'm off to buy a standard from your local friendly chemical supply store. Okay, so I'm going to make a 1/2 and 0.1 milligram per milliliter. So I'm going to take my concentrated stock, pour some out. Then I'm going to take 1 milliliter into my large volumetric, adjust my volume down, take another, adjust my volume one more time, and take my final aliquot for my standards. I'll dilute these up and we'll get on to the samples next. Next, it's time for the samples. The sample preparation wasn't too difficult as everything's soluble in methanol. So each sample was diluted to about a concentration of 0.4 milligrams per milliliter for two reasons. One, to fit the calibration curve, and two, not to overload the column. Now that the samples are in solution, I'll just vial these up, load them onto the auto sampler for analysis. I also am going to have a blank methanol and the three concentrations of the mixed standards, starting from the least concentrated to the most concentrated. Then the three samples. Okay, so onto my auto sampler, I put my blank 0.1, 0.5, 1, and then my three samples. One cold medicine contains two medicines, and the other one is a single medicine. All I have to do is click on Run, load my template, select my template, click Start, and wait for everything to inject. Now let's learn about some cold medicines. For centuries, the common cold was treated with rest, herbal infusions of ginger, licorice, and turmeric and peppermint. Warming spices were used to break up congestion and induce sweating. During the medieval period, medical recipes from the 15th century show boiled concoctions of ale, mustard seed, and nutmeg to relieve nasal congestion. Then came the 19th century patent medicines, where bloodletting and purges were common. These medicines often contained poisonous ingredients such as belladonna and stramonium. Arsenic was another popular ingredient in these medicines. And now we follow the idea of germ theory and have a targeted approach to treating symptoms. With the Food and Drug Act of 1906 laying the groundwork for modern regulation, it allows for a more scientific approach to medicines. We currently treat the symptoms of the illness with medicines that target these symptoms and recommend rest and fluids to get you back to healthy. Oh, looks like the GC-FID is done. Let's sniff out this data. First, let's look at the calibration curves for each of the medicines. Using the Lucidity GC-FID software, I was able to create 3 calibration curves from the 3 mix standard. You can see here, there are 3 different sets of data, and this curve here is for the guaifenesin. And here we have the R squared value, which is great, and the slope and the intercept. Next, we'll click over to the chlorpheniramine malate. Again, the R squared value is fantastic. Finally, it's the dextromethorphan with another fantastic R squared value, showing that these calibration curves are ready to use with these samples. As you can see here, the software was able to find and quantify the chlorpheniramine malate and use the dilutions to calculate the undiluted amount at 4.16 milligrams per tablet. Doing the same with the liquid medicine, there are 2 peaks to look at. The first one is a large peak that is the guaifenesin. That's well outside the range of the calibration curve. So we'll look at a second more dilute curve where that one's going to be within range. But the dextromethorphan hydrobromide is shown to be 3.97 milligrams per milliliter, and back calculating, we get 19.85 milligrams. And now for guaifenesin, we had to dilute the sample further to get it within the calibration range of the curve. And you can see right here, it is found, and the final result was 399 milligrams. Now that we know how much of each of these cold medicines is in each of these over-the-counter medicines, I'm going to go take some so I feel a little bit better. Cold medicines. Will it analyze? Yes.